The um, the birth certificate, or this government security, we have to remember how this came about when we follow the governing act, which is a statute under vital statistics that happens in every state or province worldwide. Remember, they obtained something, but basically it was not public, it was private. And had they not, under act of state, induced that to be on the record, what did not belong to the state, which was not legal, your God-given name, which is private, not public, there's no way these securities could have been issued. They require the given name on there, because had the parents refrained from putting on what was not required, there's no way the state could have produced the security. Now, what's interesting about this security is, because it's not really who you are anyways, and the fact is that it's based on fraud, inducement to commit fraud, inducing someone to enter into something they didn't have to enter into, and the fact that it's perpetrated on a child and violates the child's privacy, it's counterfeiting. So it is a counterfeit. And when you look up, basically communications that happen from the registrar's departments in all these states and governments worldwide, they'll talk about it as a token of value. Now, value is just a conception of thought. Everything in reality in the world is priceless and invaluable. Because you need oxygen. We put a price on trees that produce the oxygen, but we cut them down in massive amounts for the idea of mammon monetary gain. We're not doing it with reason involved. We're doing it with greed, and then we almost wipe things out of complete existence doing those things, over harvesting, doing things that are definitely very bad to the natural ecosystem. So this value idea, get it out of your head. It's make-believe. Value is just your consent to believe in it. And the whole system works on that. When you don't believe in it anymore, you pull out what's real, and then the lie just falls apart. The interesting thing in the dictionary that I'm reading out of the Canadian Dictionary of Law, third edition, it has a category called counterfeit token of value, because I had mentioned in an earlier video that when I looked up token of value, which the registrars had called this, the birth certificate was a valuable token. I looked up, token of value, valuable token, however I could find it, and it said, go see counterfeit token of value. I go, hold on a second here, there's something wrong with this picture. Why is it going right to counterfeit? Well, because it's not really your title, they could never really give you the title. So, of course, it's left ambiguous and unclear. It doesn't say given name or surname on it. So therefore, it is a counterfeit token of value. And so you look up where it shows up, and of course, it shows up under the criminal code as something not good. A counterfeit excise stamp, postage stamp, or other evidence of value by whatever technical, trivial, or deceptive designation it may be described, and it includes genuine coin or paper money that has no value as money. So anyways, when you really look at this, why would you even have a category for this? But you see, when you're consenting to this, you're almost like aiding and abetting the very fiction that's going on here. And so, of course, everything in the world of legal is counterfeit. It's not real. It has nothing to do with man. It's got to do with the fiction of a man, in the image of a man, not a man. And so that's why they've come up with the term human, which isn't a man. It's kind of like the money version of a man. And so you become merchandise by your own consent. So you can understand what could happen if you removed your consent. What would happen if you pulled your consent out? Well, we already read that basically under their Vital Statistics Act that if the child's given name had never been placed on the record, the child would have to consent at age of election to place it in, pay the appropriate fee, and then a birth certificate would be issued. Now, fraud doesn't have a statute of limitations. It can't hide under a cloak of fraud. So if you pull your consent and what is yours out, what do you think is going to happen to these securities? Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. This is going to be a really bad day for the people who bought into these. Whatever's going on behind the scenes, these are counterfeit and they're backed by nothing but the consent of the people to pledge their spirit into them. You pull your spirit out of their legal fiction body, and let me tell you what's going to happen to the counterfeiters that were using your consent. These will not get paid out. The investors get nothing. That's what we read you about the Canadian Ownership and Controlled Determination Act, which talked about male and female certificates and annuities being paid back to investors on it. Now, when you decided to belong to Canada or the United States, you said that you belong to them, so you're the property of. So you can understand how evil this could eventually go. Those who stay in on this bad scheme, they're eventually going to try to put this security in you. And then you will be their property at that point because you're no longer natural. They're leading this up through the training wheels of all the things that we've been talking about. We know persona, the legal version of it, means to wear a mask, an actor. You're only acting, okay, on a stage that was already put out there in place. So basically you're consenting to the very thing that's going on here. And so when they eventually dupe you long enough to consent as how they're doing now, let's see how many people are dumb enough to wear the legal mask out there and suffocate themselves, no problem. And then they'll go to the next level. Well, we found out how many people actually believe that they're the actor with the fictitious legal persona mask. Now let's go to the next level. Let's see if they'll actually take something foreign into their body and do it by consent and actually sign consent forms even doing it. They're not putting a gun to anybody's head right now. People are walking in voluntarily getting this done. So you know what the final step will be? There's going to be the ones who don't leave. They're going to put the abomination that causes desolation right in their body, though, because you are the temple of God. So when you put something foreign that's of Satan into your body, you've consented. So that's what's coming. That's the final step. What's going on right now is just a training to lead up to this. And they move slowly to see how they can maneuver this. And it's working quite well. And most will fail this test of choosing the right side. So unfortunately, you are going to see a disastrous massive population fall to this deception. So anyways, it's time for God's people to wake up. Remember, they could never have registered you. And they could never take what doesn't belong to them, but they can only utilize you as the host as long as you're willing to consent. So it's time to remove what is yours out that God gave you, that his son purchased and bought, that doesn't belong to the state. It's not their property, and it's time for you to remove it out of there and not be unequally yoked with this bad legal fiction.